Welcome back. We're so excited to have you because today is the first Sunday of Advent.
So this is day one of Advent Daily, where we explore St. Alphonsus's daily sermons for Advent. Today, he starts off with a real bang. He talks about the Last Judgment. And in his mind, we'll go through the sequence of events. And in his mind, this is what will happen to you. This is not talking speculation. What he does is he goes into scripture, he looks at other saints and what they have said in their private revelations, and he lays it out all in a sequence of events. And in his mind, this is what's going to happen to every single person who has lived, is living, and will live, all together, all at the same time. So let's go through the sequence of events for the Last Judgment.
This day shall commence with fire from the heavens, which will burn the earth, all men then living, and all things upon the earth. And the earth and the works which are in it shall be burnt up. All shall become one heap of ashes.
Now, what strikes you about that? For me, I always thought when Jesus came again at the end of time, I remember having this thought as a little boy, wouldn't that be exciting? I don't got to die. I'm going to be there and Jesus is come again. I'm going to see him coming in his clouds of glory. St. Alphonsus says, not so, you're going to burn. He's saying everything on this earth shall be burnt up. That means every living thing and person. Now, some might respond and think, well, that's kind of unfair to those living people. Why do they have to die? It sounds like not the greatest way to go out, Well, I think in his mind, it's fitting because I think in St. Alphonsus' mind, he's thinking that we are disciples of Jesus Christ, followers of him, and we're to be like him in all things. And if Jesus had to die, then it's fitting that his disciples, his followers also die, for we are not greater than the Master. He uses this logic, by the way, to justify his reasoning for Mary's ending of her earthly life. He is of the opinion that Mary physically died because she's the perfect disciple and followed Jesus and his example in all things. So I think he uses this logic to the end of time and says, we're going to be followers of Jesus. We're going to like him in all things. Jesus died, well, so will we. The other thing that catches my attention is this. You can't save the earth. And there's a whole religion out there that's all focused on saving the earth, saving it for future generations. And we have to do everything physically possible. There's no expense too high that we should not be willing to pay to save the earth from its destruction. First off, should we be responsible? Yes, do what we can. But we have to realize divine revelation has shown us that you can't save the earth. That there's going to be a point in the end, this physical earth will end. That it will be burnt. And St. Alphonsus makes reference to 2 Peter 3:10 for this. And you can check that reference out for yourself, but it's quite clear. So those are right away a couple things that catch my attention at the very beginning with St. Alphonsus.
And the next thing he talks about is the sound of a trumpet.
So there's a sound. Goes out. I don't know what's it going to look like, but he says a trumpet, so it must sound like a trumpet. And two things happen at the sound of the trumpet. He says, the blessed in heaven descend and reunite with their physical bodies, the bodies that they use to glorify God and serve him. And the second thing is, the souls of the damned rise and reunite with their bodies that they used to serve themselves. Their bodies that they used to reject and offend God. And he says these two bodies, when they're united to the soul, look very different.
Oh, how different the appearance of the former compared with that of the latter. The damned will appear deformed and black, like so many firebrands of hell, but the just shall shine as the sun. Oh, how great will then be the happiness of those who have mortified their bodies by works of penance. St. Teresa says, "O happy penance, which merited for me such glory." So actually this quote just reminds me just briefly about the apparitions of Our Lady of Lourdes when she was appearing to St. Bernadette in France. And there was one occasion when Mary appeared to St. Bernadette And all she said to her was penance, penance, penance. And I just think like, wow, that must be a really important point, that we can do penance with these bodies that God has given us.
And that there's a glory that's associated with our acts of penance in our bodies. One big takeaway from this is nothing is wasted in the kingdom of God. Every little secret little act of penance that we do, God sees, and he's just and rewards it.
Mm-hmm. The angels shall go out and shall separate the wicked from among the just. Oh, how great will then be the confusion which the unhappy damned shall suffer. This punishment alone, says St. Chrysostom, would be sufficient to constitute a hell for the wicked. Brother shall be separated from brother, husband from wife, son from father.
St. Alphonsus is saying that the angels are involved at the end here. So what is exactly happening? Well, we have been physically reunited with a body. The bodies of the damned and the glorified bodies of those from heaven are all united. So if there's a separating of the saved and the damned, that means that they're physically assembled because we have a physical body. So then that must happen in a physical space because a body occupies a space. Now with this in mind, then you have all of mankind assembled for this to happen. Every person that has ever lived, all assembled, all together. What a sight. We are there. And then the angels go about separating people, left and right, those who are saved, those who are damned. This will happen, and you will be there. We will all be there. What a sobering thought.
Yeah. Definitely sobering. But behold, the heavens are opened. The angels come to assist at the general judgment, carrying, as St. Thomas says, the standard of the cross and the other instruments of the passion of the Redeemer. Sinners shall weep at the sight of the cross, for as St. Chrysostom says, the nails will complain of them. The wounds and the cross of Jesus Christ will speak against them. So as I was just thinking about that, it was just the mere appearance of the cross will then convict us. And then we'll think like, was our life worthy of Jesus' crucifixion?
And one thing to remember at this time is that it's not a rejudgment of our souls, but a confirmation of the particular judgment. And the particular judgment is different than the final judgment. The particular judgment happens at the moment of death, where the eternal resting place of our soul is finalized. It's hell or heaven through purgatory so that we're purified. So at this point, there is no surprise here of like, oh, I didn't realize I was going to go to hell, or I realize now I'm going to heaven. No, this is a confirmation of what God has already declared at the particular judgment. It's for all to see, which is different. And this glorifies God, because it's all laid bare. It's all before all, and including God. And this is interesting. He talks about the signs. Somehow there's a sign. The sign of the cross and the signs of the passion will be present to us in some way.
Most Holy Mary, the Queen of saints and angels, shall come to assist at the last judgment. And lastly, the eternal judge shall appear in the clouds, full of splendor and majesty. And they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with much power and majesty. According to St. Jerome, the presence of Jesus Christ will give the reprobate more pain than hell itself. It would, he says, be easier for the damned to bear the torments of hell than the presence of the Lord.
So what do you think about all the sequence of these events?
Like, honestly, part of me is like, I don't know if I want to be there for that, but it's like I have no choice.
Well, he does focus a little bit more heavily on those who are damned, and doesn't speak about the joys of those who are saved.
That's right. Yeah, he hasn't talked about the joy yet.
St. Alphonsus is good on that side. He fills you with fear. But there's also we have to remember that God is perfectly just. And we will see his justice before us. So I guess the point of this is this will happen. And this will happen to you. And it's good for us to remember this so that we are preparing for this. Not in a speculative thing. I wonder if this is going to happen. No, divine revelation reveals this to be true. Jesus Christ will come again to judge the living and the dead. He's coming. When, how, we'll leave that up to him. But this is a season of preparing our hearts.
And we might think that this isn't a great way to start Advent, but it really is, because it helps us to remember what the whole reason why we are even here. So
share with us below what's stood out to you and why. And if this is your first time watching and you'd like to get these videos by email, there's a link in the description where you can hop in and join, and you'll get the next videos in your inbox. Oh, and we're going to end on a nice note. Janelle will end us off with a prayer from St. Alphonsus.
Therefore make me know the great good thou art, the love thou hast borne me, and how much thou hast done to oblige me to love thee. Ah, my God and my Savior, let me no longer live ungrateful to thy great goodness. My Jesus, I will never leave thee again. I have offended thee enough already. It is but right that I should spend the remaining years of my life in loving thee and pleasing thee.